Good morning, friends. Oh, they are my washing baskets. So we are redecorating our spare room, which is just there's a door there. So everything is scattered around the house. But I thought I'd start a reading vlog for this week so you can come along with me on my crazy 60-hour work week, and we'll see if we can get some reading done. One of the books I started it last night, is Punching the Air by Zoboi and Yusef Salaam. Sorry, Dr. Yusef Salaam. I mentioned this in my Books on My Radar video. So this is about a young black man, who is charged with something that white boys would get away with. I think he's beaten somebody up, or accused of beating somebody up. So this is a novel told in verse, and I'm only about 20 pages in. But I'm really enjoying it so far. The other book that I'm listening to I started yesterday, and it is an audiobook. It's Sally Field's In Pieces, which is her autobiography, and I'm about a third of the way through at the moment, and it's really, really interesting. I didn't know a lot about Sally Field's history, but she's such a fascinating person, and the things that she's had to go through in her life are actually quite heartbreaking as well. So it's hard-hitting and emotional. I think if you don't get emotional, you probably don't have a heart. Did I just say that? I think I did. I am working from home at the moment, which is why I am looking like this. So I'm going to sit down and have a little break and read some of my book. Hello, it is 10 o'clock and I am home. It's so cold outside and it's really misty and creepy and dark, and I don't like it. So I have done some reading. I'm about 100 pages through Punching the Air by Zoboi and Dr. Yusef Salaam. I'm really interested. I'm finding it really interesting so far. I'm not so sure what I think about the verse aspect. That's my fiance trolling me from the bedroom. Alexa, shut up! And I am over halfway through In Pieces by Sally Field. I'm waiting for him to start playing another song. And what I love about this is you learn a lot more about Sally, obviously, because it's an autobiography. But I only really know her from Mrs. Doubtfire, which probably shows my age. But I didn't realise her history and what brought her to acting. So for Sally, she finds that it allows her to be a completely different person from who she is in real life. So she said that some of her earliest memories were of her as a child, alone with no friends, feeling awkward and anxious, and she's always had this anxiety in her stomach, which I can totally relate with. Depending on how my stomach feels, I know how I feel in myself. So it just allows her to be this completely different person and to stand up for herself, and to vocalise things that she can't vocalise in her real life. So it is really fascinating, and I love how she narrates it as well. So I've got a couple hours left. It's about 4 hours, but I listen to it on a faster speed, so I'll probably be finished that tomorrow. So for now, I'm going to read a bit more of Punching the Air. I'm gonna annoy my cats, and I'm gonna eat a crap ton of food. Hello, it is Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Yes, it's Tuesday, and I wanted to give you an update. So I am 250 pages through Punching the Air. So I've got about 130 pages left until the end. And it's fine, okay? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I think the issue is, in the beginning, we don't really know much about Amal. It's just, like, it starts off with the sentencing. And I feel like we could have had a bit of background on him as a person to make that to make that moment more powerful, and that's just something that I, as a reader, prefer. I like to know a bit more about my characters before, like, it all kicks off. Also, I have an issue, well, not exactly an issue, but maybe I'm just a bit picky about the fact that it's written in verse. I think it would have been excellent if it was written as just a standard novel, maybe with a few elements of verse in there. I think that would have been able to tell the story a bit better. But also it could be because, like, we've got, oh no, where is it? I don't know where it is. I had The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, but it's not there. But Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo is fantastic. So maybe I'm just spoiled on the books, from the books that I've already, I can't get, you know what, we'll just leave it. Maybe I'm just spoiled from the verse novels that I've already read. But it is interesting, considering the point of the novel that we're at, where I've only got about 150 pages, 130 pages left. We still don't know what actually happened that night that caused Amal to be persecuted and charged and sentenced to prison for aggravated assault, they call it. And it's now transpiring that it was the other group of kids that were chasing Amal and his friends out of a little basketball court that they were going to be playing in. But I think it's intentional to keep that from the reader for so long, because in the end it doesn't matter what actually happened. The end result is still the same. Amal is still in prison for something that he didn't do, and all of his friends were sentenced to time in a juvenile detention centre for something that they didn't do. So the actual inciting incident doesn't matter as much. I just wish that the verse was a little better, but again, I think maybe it's just personal preference. But I'm still going to finish it. I'm hoping it picks up a bit more toward the end, and I saw that at the back there is a little bit of, like a little vignette, I suppose, from the two authors, and just discussing how they met and their process when it came to writing this book. So I think that would be really interesting to read. Other than that, I don't really have an update, apart from the fact that it is freezing cold in Scotland. Spoiler alert, it's always cold in Scotland. So you want me to pull this down?
Oh, well,
is that what you want me to do?
The ladder?
Yeah.
So I can get down, please.
Okay. A little bit more?
Please, can you just fucking put the ladder down so I can get down?
Hello, it is Wednesday. I'm on my lunch break, and I thought I would give you an update. So I have finished Punching the Air by Zoboi and Dr. Yusef Salaam, and I'm going to give it 3 stars. I just feel like it would have been better as a novel rather than verse, but I do find it really interesting that a lot of the poetry within the book is actually poetry that was written while Yusef was incarcerated, and a lot of the emotion is embedded in some of those poems, so I find that really interesting. I also really enjoyed the motif and themes of hope. Like Amal itself, that word means hope, and his name literally embodies hope, and I think that hope is something that is threaded throughout the book. The loss of hope, how difficult it is to find it again, and the novel itself ends on a hopeful note, which was really sweet. I also liked the butterfly effect, so that's something that Amal brings up quite early on, and he really shows that you can benefit from the butterfly effect, but you can also be heavily affected by little tiny decisions that are made can massively impact your life in a negative way. And another thing that he also brought up was about walls, how walls can be built to keep you out and confine you, but you can also erect your own in order to protect yourself. So it is very thoughtfully written. I just don't think that... Hello! Don't you look at me like that. I'm on my lunch break! Don't come for me.
Your lunch break this early?
It's 12 o'clock. It's 10 past 12.
Oh, is it? Right, I need food.
Yes, so it's very thoughtfully written, and it's obviously a very personal story to Yusef Salaam. So I do feel bad giving it 3 stars, but this is just purely based on my own reading experience and my enjoyment of the book. But maybe that's something that you would enjoy more than I would. So now we have to select a new book to read. Can you help me, please?
Wait, what?
Can you help me pick my next book to read?
Right,
It's not a trick question.
that one.
No, from a selected pile of books.
Okay, that one.
These are all my books that I'm looking forward to reading soon. So could you pick one that you... I think I know which one you're going to pick, but...
Yeah, I know which one I'm going to pick as well.
I wonder what it could be.
It's this one.
Oh my
it's
god,
this one.
it's Pine! So Robert has picked Pine by Francine Toon, and that is because he read this book and he really enjoyed it. We were in Waterstones looking for a book for him to buy, and this one just kept popping up everywhere, didn't it? It just appeared everywhere.
Buy me.
Yeah, and even when we got to the till, it was right at the till once he'd already decided to buy it. But since then, it's been popping up everywhere as well, like on other people's videos, on TV shows, like everywhere. So I'm going to be reading Pine.
I read it in 2 days, so you'll probably read it in an hour.
Challenge accepted. Hello, it is Thursday. I have finished In Pieces by Sally Field, and I've given it 4 stars. I just got mooned. How old are you? You're 32!
And a half.
So I finished it and it was really, really good. I do wish we'd seen a bit more of her later years, because in the... You are so creepy. I swear to God, I'm going to turn this camera around. Does anybody else get trolled when you're trying to film a video? I wish that we'd gotten like the years between like the 80s up to the current day, because it stopped giving much detail after about 1979. Excuse me, I'm going to go murder my fiancé. What happened to time? It is Sunday. And I'm finished work. So it's 9:30. I'm exhausted. This is what a 30-year-old woman working a 60-hour week looked like. So good luck if that's in your future. Reading update. I am over halfway through Pine. I don't know if I gave you a synopsis of this, but it's about a girl and a father who are out guising one night in the little village that they live in, and they come across a woman who is walking along the road in a white dress, and it's really creepy, so they pick her up and take her home, as you do, and the next morning she's vanished and her father doesn't remember a thing, and she starts popping up around the village, and whenever somebody meets her they forget about her, apart from Lauren, the main character. The writing style is a bit disjointed. It is a debut novel and it shows a little bit in the writing, so it is quite disjointed and it pulls me out of things quite a bit because it jumps from scene to scene, and even when it's mid-paragraph it's jumping into a new scene, so it's a little bit confusing. I have been listening to it during the bulk of my hours for this week. I don't think I told you. Just resting that there. I have 2 jobs. That's why I'm working so much this week. I have a relief care job, and then I have a job that I do from home Monday to Friday. So I've been doing 2 split shifts, which equates to like a 12+ hour day. It's been a bit wild. Time is irrelevant right now, which is exactly how it got to Sunday. Because I've been reading this and listening to this during that weird 48 hours where I lose all track of who I am and where I am and what I'm doing and where I'm going to next, I'm a little bit confused about where I am. I don't remember things that have just happened a chapter ago. So I'm going to skip back a couple of chapters, try and recap myself, and then I'll continue. The other book that I started is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This is one that's been all over BookTube and Instagram and just the bookish sphere as a whole. And this is about a young girl called Liz who is destined to go to college and provide for her family and she wants to cure sickle cell disease, but she does not get the scholarship that she desperately needs until she realises that the prom queen can get a scholarship. So she decides to run for prom queen, something she's never been interested in before, and on the journey she falls in love with another prom queen. I'm about 70 pages in. It's very cute at the moment. I love Liz's friends, who are all wild and funny, and it's just a very cute book, and you can really feel the heart of the novel. I think it's a debut novel. It's funny how you can be reading two debut novels and have completely different experiences. Yes, they're different genres, I know, but I'm tired, just run with it. Okay, I finished Pine, and I'm giving it 2 stars. Robert is looking at me so distressed because he really enjoyed it. The problem with this book, okay, is, and we both agree on this, is because we live in the Highlands, Robert was born and raised here, we have a lot of nostalgia. Like, a lot of this book takes us back to when we were in school, but then there's also bits that are quite obviously in the present day. Like, they talk about the indie referendum, they talk about current radio hosts on the local radio station. But then there's moments where there's a girl that's a big bully and someone comes in and saves the day and pushes her over and says, "Stop being such a lesbian." It's 2020, is that still a thing? I just didn't care about the characters. Robert, stop laughing at me. I'm passionate about this. I just don't care about the characters. Like, Lauren's bullied. So was I. What a shame. Niall's an alcoholic. Okay. People fancy each other, whatever. There's a girl gone missing. Yeah, that's a shame. The mother has gone missing 10 years before. Nobody knows what happened to her. I don't care. It's such a shame because this book could have been amazing, but I could tell that it could have been edited a lot better. The writing style for me was too disjointed, and even when it's mid-paragraph, it's swapping about and changing scenes, which is just too much. Right at the very end, in one of the final scenes, there is this strange moment where it's quite obviously being prolonged so that you can have the big reveal of what actually happened, and it just doesn't ring true to real life at all. I was saying to Robert that in the scene, someone is driving along the road and then they decide that all of a sudden they need some air, so they stop in the middle of the road, get out of the car, and then hop straight back in, so that there's more time for characters to talk. When in actual fact, if we were up at his dad's house and someone was trundling along his dad's driveway and stopped and then got out of the car and got back in, that'd be really sketchy. Like, people would notice. All of the neighbours around would notice. Oh well. So those are the books that I read this week. Thank you for coming along on that emotional journey with me. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you'd be interested in reading any of these books. I can't talk anymore at this point. But we'll have a chat in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.